In-depth analysis helps eliminate the emotions of investing, find profitable investment opportunities, and filters out scams. Learn more at tokenmetrics.com. Disclaimer. Tokenmetrics Media LLC does not provide individually tailored investment advice and does not take a subscriber's or anyone's personal circumstance into consideration when discussing investments, nor is it registered as an investment advisor or broker-dealer in any jurisdiction. Information contained herein is not an offer or solicitation to buy, hold, or sell any security. The Tokenmetrics team has advised and invested in many blockchain companies. A complete list of their advisory roles and current holdings can be viewed here at tokenmetrics.com/disclosures.
Good evening, everybody, and good morning. We are live. This is the Tokenmetrics Monday live stream. I'm your host, Bill Noble from Tokenmetrics TV, and I am joined by my colleague, Forrest Privish. Forrest, what's up?
Hey, Bill, how's it going?
It's good. Good. Thank you. So this weekend, I don't know who was worse, the Falcons or the Texas Longhorns. It's debatable.
I can't even watch football if the Falcons aren't good, and it's not very often that they are. So I end up not watching a lot of NFL.
Yeah, I mean, I watched Texas play Arkansas, and yeah, that was not a pretty sight. That looked like men against boys.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. The good news about being in Georgia is the Bulldogs are usually pretty good. They just lose to an unranked team every year. So they'll have one or two losses. One of those losses will be to Alabama, and the other loss will be to like an unranked Kentucky or an unranked South Carolina, which is always just extremely disappointing. But other than that, they're pretty fun to watch.
Right. The state of Georgia there with Alabama is so close yet so far away. All right. So our football teams got wrecked over the weekend, and so has the market. So without further ado, let's get to your market update. Ethereum strikes back, right? Why can Ethereum come back, and how much can it? But first, don't forget, folks, like and subscribe, turn on alerts. The more you help us, the more we can help you. If we get up to 800 likes today, we're going to be doing altcoin overtime. So hit that button. And now let's continue. Rectember. So far, that's working out in terms of keeping our clients, particularly on Tokenmetrics TV, out of the way of all this choppy corrective activity. Even last night, I was like, wow, this thing's going to take off. And then the whole market dumps. Equities, QQQ, right, looks kind of weak, right? There's always that seasonal slump in the stock market, and a lot of the new highs made in stocks aren't really confirmed by momentum indicators. So when it comes to September, I'm not as worried as I was, but that doesn't mean the world is perfect. All right, now let's switch over to Bitcoin. So with this, as you might remember from prior streams, we're doing kind of a conversational market update, right? So for me, looking at Bitcoin, I'm like, you know what? Maybe they test 40, 42. Forrest, man, what do you think? Tell them what you were telling us earlier about Bitcoin.
Yeah, so with Bitcoin, there's a couple levels I want to watch out for. I've got my screen pulled up here. I've got my chart on Bitcoin, and the level I'm watching right now is the potential retest of our downtrend line. You could call it our bear trend line, right? We initially came back up and broke through, right? And keep in mind, this is on a logarithmic view. We had our all-time high, we had our lower high, and we got through this downtrend line right here. Now, historically, what Bitcoin likes to do in order to go higher and back into a bull market, right? We could analyze Bitcoin all day long. We're not going to get into the 2017 or even like the 2019, 2020 uptrends. But what needs to happen, right, is for us to not break through below this level, right? If Bitcoin comes down to $40,000, which would be a pretty poetic, big, even level, it would also be on top of our downtrend line. We want to see a bounce there. If we see a bounce at $40,000, which I think we can because we do have previous support all over this region, right? We could see a bounce at $40,000. then that's the confidence this market needs to take off again, right? Or at least the confidence Bitcoin needs to take off again. We've had some pretty solid altcoin performances this week, but it's been kind of a mixed bag. Some altcoins are up, some altcoins are down.
All right. So I know out there you couldn't see Forrest's chart. We apologize for that. I think the net is 40K is a big level in Bitcoin. So if there was a wick down, buyers would be there. Okay. Now, for Ethereum, we're going to have some now and some later. We're going to have the case for Ethereum to come back, to strike back as the dominant layer one. So please hit that like button and stay tuned for that later in the show. Now, in the meantime, the big question is, where's the bottom in ETH? Is it 3,200? Because that's kind of been the recent range. Is it 3,000? Because that's where the wick down came from. Or is it 2,500? I think what's going on in ETH is that people may have gotten trapped FOMOing into ETH-based NFTs and they can't get out. They're worried, and so as a result of that worry, they're shorting ETH to try and hedge their NFTs. And I also think some of this really lousy price action has been people borrowing money, borrowing ETH to FOMO into NFTs. So if ETH continues to have these choppy down days, it may just be this like liquidation, rolling, panic selling process. But we don't think it's the end of the world. You know, if ETH somehow got to 2,500, that would be a holiday treat, right? But we don't think it goes that low at the moment. Now, Solana, oh my God. We rode Solana based on what our AI was saying. I don't know, Forrest, I don't know if you've looked at this. We had resistance at 200. And the big question is, not putting you on the spot, but just I'm saying holistically, do you grab Solana in 150? Do you hold out for 125 or is it over?
Yeah. So to be honest, my targets for Solana, right? My targets for Solana are actually really similar. It's funny. You just had 149 and 201 to like 150 to 200 as support and resistance there. My take profit targets, force zone, right? Maybe scaling a little bit out at 150. Yeah, we did blow straight through 150 once we had resistance there, right? But, taking 5%, 10% out at 150, maybe taking another 5% off the table at 175, taking some off the table at 200, and then we wicked up to 220. If you sold at 200, you're probably fine. If you've reduced your Solana position, assuming you bought somewhere between $20 and $40 Solana, right? If you've reduced your Solana position in this $150 to $200 range by 25%, guess what? You've paid back, you've taken out your initial investment from this $20 to $40 range easily, right? And now you're free rolling with a nice bag of Solana. And you're at very low risk if this market decides to take a turn for the worse. Now, a lot of people are saying, oh, Solana's the future. Now, why would I ever sell my Solana between 150 and 200? It's going to 400. It's going to 350. Maybe it does. Maybe it does. But maybe it does what Theta did after Theta became a top 10 coin and trickles down to the trend line, right? Trickles back down to $100. Would that mean Solana's a failure? Absolutely not. What it would mean is that after a parabolic run up, it's just cooling down and moving sideways. Now, maybe Solana does go to $400. Maybe it goes to 500. Maybe it goes to 600. In which case, if you had taken 25% of your position out, you still have 75% to free roll with essentially zero risk because you took out your initial investment up to those higher moonshot levels, right? But if we do go down to $100, you've already taken out your initial investment, and then you can rebuy when we get back down to this trend line. Bill, I love buying on the trend line.
Right. And I know that Forrest is a big advocate of patience, which is really hard in Solana because you really had to buy every dip on the way up to stay with the trend, which is one of the reasons why as Forrest so eloquently put it, if you've taken profits, if there's a washout in Solana to either 125 or 100, right? Because remember, this had a mind of its own going up. It can have a mind of its own coming down. So you don't want to buy it too soon and then have it drop and you're selling it where you're supposed to be buying it. Bottom line is I'm hoping for Solana at 125 to get that better entry point. It's hard, but the best trades are the toughest trades. Now, Cardano, God Almighty, they want to buy this on every dip, and God bless them, right? 235, 237, a Gann line. It's like the whole world's got this Gann chart. They just buy it every time it goes down there. You know, it can trade between there and 3. It can go to 3.5. Now, I think the big idea with Cardano is where Cardano is on the market cap chart. Okay. Now, I'm showing, according to CoinMarketCap, that Cardano has a market value of $77 billion. Okay. That is twice the value of Polkadot. Polkadot is Web3. You know, Solana is there at 48. And I'm wondering if either Solana has to correct and catch up with Polkadot, or Polkadot has to jump up there as well. Now, one other thing to note about Solana is that in the NFT universe, there's been so much trading that people are probably sitting on a ton of Solana. Now, I can draw pictures and I can talk about Solana at 1,000, but when you've made a quick buck on NFTs and you see it start to turn against you, I'm wondering if that's what creates the next leg of the correction in Solana. The bottom line is Cardano is so expensive, like Polkadot, Solana, and all these other layer 1 solutions, you know, have the ability to eventually catch up. And, you know, it's not necessarily on the chart, but I just get this creeping feeling that as all these layer 1s start pushing, that ETH is the next big move. More on that later. Okay, back to Polkadot. Luckily, I started pounding the table on Polkadot around 12. The big question is, at 40, is Polkadot fairly valued, or can Polkadot just keep going and go to 80? I don't know, Forrest, if you got any thoughts on this. I know a lot of people at 12, it was end of the world. And now at 40, people are talking 80. Do you have any thoughts either way on Polkadot?
Yeah, I think DOT is potentially very undervalued. Now, we know the market is in a precarious position in the sense that we talked about how equities, you know, could be due for a downturn. We're in September, we're in October, but we need to separate the short term from the long term. Now, I think that DOT at $40 or $35 right now in the long term is quite undervalued, right? Everybody's sitting here talking about the layer 1s, right? The battle between the layer 1s, the Cardanos versus the Ethereums versus the Solanas versus Phantom versus AVAX, right? Everyone's trying to pick the winner. But what people don't understand is there may be multiple winners, and guess who ultimately wins if there are multiple winners in these blockchains, these layer 1 solutions, these layer 1 smart contract networks need to be able to interoperate and communicate with each other and transact with each other in a secure manner. The DOTs of the world, the Cosmoses of the world, right? DOT is very plug and play and easy to integrate other blockchains with, and ultimately, I believe these interoperable solutions are going to be the benefactors of multiple winners in the layer 1 solutions, right? What are the other winners, right? Oracle networks. Who's supplying the data to all these layer 1 solutions? Chainlink, right? Who's indexing the data? The Graph, right? Other oracles, API3, they're smaller ones. Chainlink's the big one, right? That's why I love DOT and Chainlink right now at these cheaper prices, because they haven't rallied like Solana has. They haven't rallied like AVAX has, yet they're still going to benefit if AVAX and Solana and Cardano and Ethereum succeed.
Right. And with the Polkadot chart, right? There's a lot of congestion between 40 and 48. And we'll show later on, Forrest actually brought this to our attention using AVAX, that once a coin or once any of these like layer one plays get anywhere near the prior resistance from the old highs, it literally doesn't pay any attention to it and it blows right through it. That's why, even though it's Rectember, I brought up the possibility of much higher prices for Polkadot. Now, Phantom, right? So if there is no more down trade from here, Phantom is it's obviously mooned. It's gone from 20 cents to $1.50. It's coming back to $1.06. Forrest, tell the audience what you were telling me before the show about Phantom and what it is.
Yeah, so I'm guys, I'm far from a Phantom expert, but my base level understanding of Phantom is that it's a very fast, efficient, and inexpensive smart contract network, layer one smart contract network that is EVM compatible, right? Ethereum compatible. Phantom is EVM compatible. Deploy and run your Ethereum dApps on Phantom. How convenient. How convenient that Ethereum is the number one smart contract solution, and you can just deploy your Ethereum dApp on top of Phantom and have it run at instantaneous speeds, right? So Phantom stands to benefit from Ethereum's shortcomings, for lack of a better word, in terms of scalability, right? I think Phantom, instead of trying to kill Ethereum, Phantom is playing nice with Ethereum and is EVM compatible. Bill, did we lose Bill? We may have lost Bill. Bill, you there?
I'm here.
Oh,
I'm back. All right. Sorry about that, folks. Here at Token Metrics, right, and at tokenmetrics.com, we want to keep all of our viewers and our customers one step ahead of the market. So in August, we were worried about Rectember. The market has gone down, and now that the down trade is either got one more leg or maybe finishing, we want to start talking about what's next. So not only do we look at the charts, but we're also looking at what our AI is picking up. Specifically, I'm looking at the Coinbase weekly index. All right. A lot of times I'll take these shorter term indices, right? I'll use them to pull out coins to say, that one or those coins are going to be on the watch list. And wouldn't you know, okay, Ethereum actually shows up in our portfolio. I've been looking at these indices for a while. This is the first time I've actually seen Ethereum come in at such a high allocation of 27%. Our AI still likes Solana, Polkadot, and a coin that I like that we'll get into if we can get those 800 likes. So don't forget to hit the like button so we can get to Quant, right? Turns out the future of money may actually be a payment system. Now, the next leg of the conversational market update, please give us some love out there, is we want to talk not only Bitcoin dominance, but we want to use this to lead into the fact that, we've effectively had alt season without ETH. So it looks like this whole speculative layer one world has taken off and Bitcoin has been left in the dust. And I saw some comments earlier in the stream that, Bitcoin is your boomer's crypto. Bitcoin dominance is getting to really low levels. And the question is this: can Bitcoin, after the Rectember trade is over, go back to 100K? Okay, dominance is low. And Forrest, I know you got thoughts on this.
Yeah, definitely. So, Bitcoin dominance, I think, is pretty simple. And I'm far from a Bitcoin maximalist, but we know that from history, Bitcoin leads the market, and Bitcoin can actually be a really, really good leading indicator for where the rest of the market is going, right? I like smart contract networks. I like altcoins, but it's important to respect and pay attention to Bitcoin. And Bitcoin dominance can be a pretty simple chart to look at, right? We just have a very, very simple downtrend line. And I'm going to see if I can make that. Nope, that's as thick as it'll go. It's very simple. When we depart from this line, right, this downtrend line here, there we go, right? When we depart from this, it acts like a magnet, right? And the movements away from this Bitcoin dominance downtrend line are simply indicative of alt seasons. So we've had this big alt season ever since the beginning of the year, right? Followed by a correction where Bitcoin crashed and crashed altcoins with it, followed by altcoins starting to take off again, right? And what are we seeing? We're seeing some previous resistance act as resistance again, right? Bitcoin dominance doesn't want to go much lower because we've got some resistance here, right? So are we going to see a double bottom where Bitcoin takes back over and moves back up in dominance? Or are we going to see a second leg of alt season take us to lower Bitcoin dominance levels, right? The inverse of Bitcoin dominance is simply altcoin dominance, right? So if this number goes down, that just means altcoins, right? If this chart goes down, that just means altcoins are doing well. Are we potentially going to see the long-term double bottom all the way down at 33%? So this is a level in Bitcoin dominance that I'm paying a very close attention to because we have support here for Bitcoin dominance, right? Is this going to reject us and take us back up? Is Bitcoin going to stab back, right? And take over the market? And are we going to see a big parabolic move out of Bitcoin? Or are we going to see the altcoins continue to press Bitcoin dominance down?
All right. Now, we brought up Bitcoin dominance because the question is going forward, who's going to lead, right? Is it going to be ETH first? Then Bitcoin follows? We actually suspect that's the case. So ETH may go, and then Bitcoin is going to follow. Now, what you've all been waiting for, Ethereum strikes back. So let's go into the new case for ETH, because everyone has actually forgotten about this. And if you're tuning in, frankly, folks, hit that like button, because this is the part that you're going to like. So let's discuss Ethereum. We're going to go piece by piece. I have a motto. The first trade is always the wrong trade. Now, the first trade that everyone's done is to buy Solana, AVAX, Cardano, Algorand, Cosmos, Tezos, right? Everyone has bought all that stuff and left ETH in the dust. Now, nothing wrong with those coins. We all know I've been liking Solana on the way up. But that whole group has gone up, and everyone is laughing at Ethereum on the way down. Now, one of the things that Forrest has picked up on is that total value locked in layer 2 solutions on ETH for DeFi has actually started to go up a lot. Forrest, tell us about it and tell us why that matters.
Yeah, so one of Ethereum's shortcomings is its lack of scalability. And what I mean by lack of scalability is that it can't process a ton of transactions at once very quickly. And when it does get congested, gas fees go up. Now, as Solana and Cardano and AVAX, which all great cryptocurrencies, all great layer 1 solutions, all great trades, right? All great investments thus far. They've all done extremely well. I'm not hating on those. But a lot of people are just so quick to abandon Ethereum, saying that Ethereum's too slow, Ethereum's failing, Ethereum's unusable. Well, for one, a lot of the big money, a lot of the institutional money doesn't have problems paying those high gas fees, right? But what about the retail people? What about the retail traders that don't want to pay $50 to $150 for an Ethereum trade, or $50 to $150 to mint an NFT, or just to buy an NFT? Well, we're seeing layer 2 solutions really, really start to pick up, especially Arbitrum. You're seeing a almost more than a tripling in the last 3 to 4 days in the total value locked in layer 2 solutions on Ethereum, right? Going from $821 million to over $3 billion in the last 3 days alone, right? So layer 2 solutions are the short-term solution for Ethereum scalability issues, right? People are saying, well, what about all the NFTs in the gaming narrative, right? Ethereum's failing at NFTs because of the high gas fees. Everyone's moving to Solana. What about gaming? Like Ethereum's not fit for gaming solutions. Well, look at Zedrun. Zedrun's built on Polygon, and it's a very, very smooth experience with no gas fees. You can trade Zedrun horse NFTs without gas fees. You can race them without gas fees. You can breed them without gas fees, all because it's on a layer 2 solution. So yes, this NFT narrative and this blockchain gaming narrative that is only 1 to 2 months old at this point, it's going to take Ethereum some time to catch up. It's going to take time for these projects to develop on these layer 2 solutions. But ultimately, I'm not too worried about Ethereum because we're actually seeing the adoption of these layer 2 solutions. And we're seeing that reflected in this stat right here, the amount of total value locked in layer 2 solutions. The other thing I want to talk about is the amount of Ethereum that's being burned. If you go to watchtheburn.com, right? This is keeping track of, with EIP 1559 now, a portion of all transaction fees, which there's been a lot of, right? Because we know that Ethereum has some scalability issues right now. A portion of all these gas fees are being burned, making Ethereum more scarce. What happens to Bitcoin? We're just going to go to the Bitcoin chart here and zoom out big time. What happens to Bitcoin when the incoming issuance gets decreased by 50% or halves? That's called a Bitcoin halving, right? We go into a parabolic run-up, right? We go into a bull market. Like long term, the Bitcoin price has to reprice to account for the reduction in supply. And that's a 50% reduction in incoming supply. Well, EIP 1559 has thus far resulted in a 54% net reduction in net Ethereum issuance. So 4% more than a Bitcoin halving. So we just experienced, for easy comparison, right, an Ethereum halving, right? And that's not even accounting for Ethereum 2.0, which will be coming eventually sometime in the next 6 to 12 months, hopefully. But just in the last couple months with EIP 1559, we're seeing that 54% reduction in net issuance, which we know Ethereum is just simply, right, so long as demand stays somewhat stagnant, right, or even increases, as long as Ethereum demand doesn't decrease, we know Ethereum has to reprice. Now, I'm not saying it's going to $71,000, but I'm saying the case for Ethereum with this reduction in issuance, in net issuance, the case for this moving to the $6,000 to $10,000 range is pretty strong, especially over the next several months.
So for retail traders, right, one of the reasons why we do this live stream is because we want you to be as smart as the smart money. We don't want you going, oh my God, I have to pay a gas fee, do a trades on ETH, therefore I'm dumping it. Because when you dump your Ethereum, right, who are you selling it to? Who's taking the other side of the trade as everyone sort of gives up on Ethereum? Well, if you go to my screen here, okay, we've got a chart where we're looking at the amount of Ethereum being drained off of exchanges, okay? And needless to say, what we have is Ethereum being taken off exchanges at a rapid pace. In other words, faster than at any time this year, people are taking both Ethereum and Bitcoin and draining it off the market. So what's the bottom line? The bottom line is you stay tuned for this. Don't sell your Ethereum to an institution because that's who's taking it from you. Now, I know trading on Solana is fun, and I know Solana can go higher. But the long-term and the short-term play for, say, the fourth quarter of this year has got to be Ethereum because it's being drained away. The supply is falling, right? And there is more scalability than people think. People are FOMOing into other coins, not realizing the case for ETH is as big as it ever was. Some of the work we've done where we show if the dollar falls, ETH can go anywhere from 10 to 12K. more realistically, if the dollar is stable, ETH at 6K or 7K is definitely possible. So if ETH leads Bitcoin and then Bitcoin fuels the rally, these two big cryptos that everyone gave up on, the future of money, okay, can come back with the vengeance. So stay tuned with tokenmetrics.com, and we will keep you updated on not only this, but how all the other big layer one solutions and all these big altcoins are doing. Forrest, how are we doing out there on likes? Can you get a read on that?
I'm seeing only 135, but let me update. We gotta boost those numbers up big time. It looks like we're at 326, guys. We need to. I think Bill said 800. Guys, that means we have 682 people watching. That means we need you guys to actually hit the like button so that the algorithm shows this to more people, so we can get up to 800 viewers and then get up to 800 likes. I'm thinking we're gonna do. Maybe I'm a little nicer than Bill. Play good cop, bad cop. What if we say 500 likes? What if we say is 500 likes fair, Bill?
I think it's totally fair. We got somebody looking for the graph. I've got the graph, I believe, in our altcoin overtime. We've even got a coin. We've got one coin that's going to be featured in our altcoin quarterly magazine entitled The Magnificent Seven. So if you're not a customer of tokenmetrics.com and you want to see the 7 altcoins that we're going to like best, that's coming out this month. Also, our book is out on Amazon, okay, and doing quite well. But in the short term, we would love it and we would appreciate it if you would give us those likes, because the more you help us, the more we can help you, particularly not be left out of anything that's going on in Ethereum and Bitcoin. And while you're smashing that like button, let me tell you this. I took a phone call today from a major business publication. You want to know what they said to me? They said, you know what? I want you to tell me about altcoins. Now, I know I like altcoins and I know you like altcoins, but the mainstream press is picking up on it. So if there was ever a time to know what the best altcoins out there are, now is that time. Now. So, all right. How did the pregame football speech do on likes there?
We are at 476. So we only need 24 more likes, guys. Come on. You guys want yeah, we can get to 500 very easily.
All right. So what we're going to do is I know you're out there, you're ringing your neighbor's doorbell, you're telling a friend to tell a friend, you're grabbing your iPhone, your iPad, and you're trying to hit the like button on every device you can. We're going to start altcoin overtime. Now, here's what we want to do. We're going to hit you with altcoin overtime, and while we're doing that, we want you to see if you can get us another 500 likes. So we're going to do a sort of like, I'll scratch your back, you scratch mine. All right. And without further ado, here is altcoin overtime. AVAX. Good Lord, this thing, right? This was the original resistance. What resistance trade? Now, over the weekend, I said 45 was resistance, and Mr. Market showed me a print of 60. If the decline stops, I can't say for sure whether or not AVAX would take out 60. I think ETH is a better trade. I think if I wasn't holding AVAX, I would hold off and think about Solana on the dip. That said, if I was hodling AVAX and I had gotten in at 20, I'd pull my initial investment out, and who knows what this thing can do, right? I think ETH is a better trade, but I'm not going to get in front of this. Okay, Algorand. This is a Novogratz favorite, by the way. Okay, kind of an interesting DeFi proposition that just no one was paying attention to. It just went from $1 to $2 like that. Now, this trade may not be over. It may not be, because, it took out resistance at 180 and it came back and it retested. So if this market has 1 or 2 more down days and Algorand doesn't go back below 180, I think you put this on a buy list, because remember, this is available on Coinbase. So if this thing goes AVAX, right, or Solana, takes out its previous highs from February and May, every other coin like this that's done that has moved. So I don't want you chasing everything, but on a dip, Algorand may be worth looking at. Now, speaking of, who cares about resistance? Cosmos. God, this thing went from 24 to 44 in like 4 days. Now, 44 is resistance, and it's almost like Star Trek. Sometimes I feel like resistance is futile. Cosmos has been dormant for so long that if this trade's really going to take off, I actually think this and Polkadot could go together. So I can't like Polkadot and not like Cosmos. 44 is resistance. There is a lot of FOMO here. I would wait to see what it does at 44. But if the Cosmos and Polkadot trade are linked, then this can actually go up more. All right. I wouldn't FOMO right now, but it can go up more. Now, where I think FOMO may be justified. Yes, I know. You got to get back in your seat because I just said it. FOMO may be justified in Tezos, like this dead play that no one has looked at. If this project can somehow get involved in this DeFi, Ethereum challenge, NFT narrative, there is some unbelievable looking Elliott wave in Tezos. Now, are you going to get rich off this? Probably not. But if you're on Coinbase and you're looking for something to put, say, 5 or 10% of your portfolio in, this coin is interesting because of this coiling process, that sort of stop-start thing that I always talk about on the show. So if these other coins continue to moon prior to ETH bottoming, Tezos could be a good play. Now, even, okay, a coin we like that is a part of the Magnificent Seven, right, is actually giving you almost a gift dip. I figured this thing at 9.5 was gone and was just going to go. And as it turned out, everybody sold it, right? So now it's a lot easier to pound the table on it, particularly if it can recover back above a big fib line at 570. So I didn't think I was going to get a dip in this, and I got one, which is a valuable lesson. We talked about this with Solana, right? You don't think you're going to get the dip. It's going to take off and go up forever. The next thing you know, you're buying it half off. Okay, Quant. Oh, my God. A coin I actually FOMO'd into after seeing this on our AI, right? Our AI flagged Quant right back when it was like, I don't know, at 80. And it continued to flag it once or twice when it was at 160. I just lowered my baseball cap, covered my eyes, and go, I'm FOMOing into this because it's a payment system, like the SWIFT system, where dollars travel around the world. It's the same thing for QNT, except it's for crypto, central bank digital currencies, stable coins, etc. It's the plumbing of moving crypto from one place to another. Okay. If 343 acts as support, I'm just going to stay with the trend and say it's going to go to 550. Now, I could get hosed. It could be a top. I know that. But I knew that at 175. And you know what? I'm just going to stay with the trend. The trend is my friend. Now, DYDX. Is this coin overvalued? Maybe. Forrest may be able to say a few words on it. It looks like the place where you want to buy this is down at $8.16. That's the 62% retracement of the original ramp up. Forrest, I believe we were looking at like $3 to $4 as fair value for this when it came out. Am I right about that?
Yeah, so we did a pretty in-depth analysis comparing the valuation of DYDX to its closest competitor, Perpetual Protocol, which we're big perp fans here. So by extension, we're pretty big DYDX fans because it's decentralized derivatives, right? Now, DYDX, as compared to perp, has a lot more users because they did a campaign and they did this big airdrop thing to people that were trading on DYDX. So DYDX actually has about 10 times the amount of users that perp has. However, they don't generate that much more revenue, right? Perp does a ton of trading volume, as does DYDX, but they're pretty comparable in a lot of regards in terms of the revenue they generate. The only thing that DYDX really has an advantage on is the number of users, right? In terms of code review and fundamental score, they're very, very, very similar. So when we did a fair value comparison of where DYDX should launch at in comparison to perp's value based on fully diluted valuation, right? Because we don't want to get caught in the trap of investing in a cryptocurrency that has a high dilution rate that's going to get diluted with incoming supply rather quickly. The thing about DYDX you got to watch out for is that only 8.1% or so of its supply is actually circulating at this point. So when we take into account the circulating supply versus the uncirculating supply, and then crunch the numbers based on comparing perp to DYDX, the price where DYDX becomes very, very attractive as an investment is somewhere between $2 and $6. Now, I know that's a bit of a broad range, but that's significantly lower than the $10 to $12 that it's currently trading at. Right now, that's not to say that DYDX couldn't just completely melt up. We are in a speculative market. We are in somewhat of an alt season and crypto bubble. So could DYDX melt up from $10 to $40? Of course it could, right? We're bullish on decentralized derivatives. But the point at which the risk to reward ratio gets really, really attractive for us for DYDX is somewhere between $2 and $6 because that's more in line with where it should be valued based on fully diluted valuation as compared to perp protocol.
All right. So with that, all right, you definitely have to be hitting the like button because I would say that there's nowhere else and nobody else like my colleague Forrest who can break down DYDX type valuations on YouTube. So give us some love. And for DYDX, here's the chart read. The 62% retracement is $8.16. If there was a wick down below $8, that maybe a flash crash to $6, because who knows what can happen. It is Rectember after all. That's probably where you want to be picking up DYDX because it was the same as with perp. Right? How many times did perp go to $5 or $4 before it finally went to 20 or 25? I can't even count. Right? So keep that in mind with DYDX. Now, Alpha, decentralized finance, a launch pad for other DeFi protocols, and they want to get in the NFT business so there can be both buyers and sellers or an order book like you see on exchanges except for NFTs. Now, naturally, like everything else, it's currently getting hammered, but that could be a good thing because it's a teacup and handle. Handles, as you know, are a complete pain in the you-know-what. They're really hard to trade. And at 88 cents, if there's a flash dip in alpha, that could be an opportunity. Okay, synthetics. I just can't get enough of derivatives. Synthetics, considering the market trades terrible, is actually holding up okay. Sub 10 synthetics, I think is going to wind up paying off at 26 or 30, right? Once ETH actually takes off in Q4. Okay, perp, as we discussed. Now, the start, stop, and the start, stop in perp have been epic, right? Perp goes from 14 to 25, and I'm guilty. I thought it was going to 40. And what does it do? Reward patient traders like, drumroll, Forrest, who always, they wait. They say, okay, I missed the first round, and look what happens. Mr. Market gives you a chance to buy it on big fib support at 14, So DYDX came out and everybody gave up on perp. No, folks, there's more than one derivatives player at Wall Street. There's Goldman Sachs, there's Morgan Stanley, there's UBS, etc. Right? So I don't know why everybody would think perp would be dead, but that's okay because it's giving you an opportunity at 14. And unless I've totally drawn this wrong, it's a perfect Elliott wave setup where perp and the ETH universe take off as we talked about earlier. Okay, Orn, looking at this, very interesting looking bottom. Went from 2 to 28, okay, and now it's making what might be a strange looking head and shoulders bottom formation. Really intriguing chart. I'm not an expert on the project, but it's holding support at $8.36. I'm always on the hunt for these altcoins that went all the way up, all the way down, and then made a base. Because sometimes the bigger the base, the higher into space. I don't know if that's true in this case, but it's something I always look out for with altcoins. Speaking of bigger the base, I saw this in the comments, and I saw that one of our big YouTube colleagues has picked up on this. The Graph, a big favorite of Multicoin Capital, huge hedge fund in Austin, Texas. Currently, the Graph, as usual, in the handle formation, getting hammered, down 10% today. Who knows? Maybe it's down another 5 to 10% tomorrow. Graph is at 80 cents. Where's it going to be the next Ethereum DeFi up cycle? Not at 80 cents. Let's put it that way. Okay, Kusama. Now, a lot of FOMO in the Polkadot testnet, right? No one wanted Kusama at 80 when I was talking about it with Ian Bellina and Oh Hey Maddie when it was at 20. Oh Hey Maddie actually fired off a buy order while it was charting it. Okay, so Oh Hey Maddie got to ride it all the way up to 600, and then hopefully he got out because it went all the way down to 160, and now it's back at 440. Now, the trade for Kusama has been great, but is the next big move in Polkadot, right? The Kusama testnet has done well, but the Kusama trade or this up move could be a foretelling of how big the next trade could be in Polkadot. Now, just to underscore, just to run the tokenmetrics.com commercial in a tasteful, usable way, this was pointed out to me by the head of our quant analyst group, right? So there's the chief quant, and then there's the guy who does, a good amount of number crunching, and the guy who follows our indices. He DMs me before the stream and says, we have high cap indices, which is a nice way of saying we can give you groupings of coins that are large cap, and we have groupings that are small cap as well. So RAI searches through big and small coins and gives you groupings or portfolios. Now, my friend DMs me and says there's a coin cap that has a 10% allocation in our trader monthly low cap index, right? Monthly. Look at this chart. This thing went from 90 to 586, up 40% today. Now, is every coin like this? No. But our AI has been consistent all throughout the year at finding these gems, finding these patterns where something goes sideways, or it's the bigger the base, the higher into space, or it's start, stop, etc. Our AI is getting better and better and better, which is why they call it machine learning, at finding all these great trades, right? We give some of them to you on our market update, which we do on Token Metrics TV, and we're just showing this to you now. Why? Because we want you to come join us, right? Life-changing portfolios, risk management, smart investing. If you watch a college football game, you're going to hear all these commercials for retirement planning. Okay. You want to know where you plan for retirement? crypto. You want to know who helps you do portfolios in crypto and invest wisely? We do. You want to trade? You want to be on Solana? Come talk to us. All right. And that, folks, is altcoin overtime, which brings the conversational market update to a wrap up. Folks, how we doing out there on our viewership? What are we seeing?
Yeah, we're well over 600 likes, so we crushed it. Thanks for that, Bill. Shout out in the chat to Alan Watts, who said he got a 50,000. This is the biggest airdrop I've heard of so far. 50K. I saw somebody with a 40K airdrop from DYDX, and I saw someone with a 10K airdrop. Alan Watts says, Bill, thank you so much. My DYDX drop was worth 50K. I seriously love you in Token Metrics. Thank you so much. Guys, that DYDX airdrop was months of research that went into that. We were talking about this, I think, probably back in April and May before they even announced that they were doing an airdrop. We had a private call, a private webinar where we had one of our analysts do a deep dive on DYDX and speculate that DYDX was probably worth trading on just because they may do an airdrop, right? So if you're on the fence about whether or not Token Metrics is going to provide enough value for the cost, I'd ask Alan Watts if his Token Metrics membership has paid for itself yet, because I think a $50,000 airdrop, and guys, we expect DYDX to go higher, right? That $50,000, of course, if not financial advice, you may want to take some off the table. You may not. You may want to roll it all and continue to roll with DYDX. But we expect DYDX to continue to go higher in the long term. I know we talked about its fair value maybe being between $2 and $6, but as a narrative, decentralized derivatives, we expect that narrative to continue to play out. So that $50,000 airdrop could potentially be worth even more than that, right? We get airdrops all the time. I got a Ribbon Finance airdrop, which we don't know what Ribbon Finance tokens are going to be worth, but we reviewed Ribbon Finance, speculated that they were going to do an airdrop. Lo and behold, they did an airdrop, and I got 27,000 Ribbon tokens. Valuations for that could be at or around $1 per token. Now that is speculation. Maybe it's 20 cents, maybe it's $2. We don't know yet, right? But we're constantly researching projects, not only to invest in, but also to get these airdrops in, right? There's nothing better than getting a free airdrop, right? A $50,000 airdrop, that's insane. That's like imagine if a helicopter airdropped a 2021 BMW to your driveway, right? You just woke up one morning and there was a BMW with the title assigned to you and the keys on top of it in your driveway the next morning. That is a $50,000 airdrop. That's insane. So congrats to Alan Watts, and I'm very, very happy that you were able to find DYDX through Token Metrics.
All right. Speaking of life-changing money, let me see if I can bring my screen up here. I just had somebody ask about Elrond, EGLD. Can you see my screen, the Elrond chart?
Yep.
Okay. So speaking of resistance, what resistance? The last time I was looking at this chart for Elrond, okay, I was like, yeah, 217 might be resistance. Well, so much for that. It went to 280, all right, and it's still kind of hanging around. There are a lot of people who made life-changing money in this, having it go from 20 to 200. Right now, it looks like it's headed for 309. This is another thing that, yeah, sellers are active. There are going to be people taking profits in front of 300. So here's what I would tell you. I think if you invested in this down at 60, it might be time to take some money up at 300, right? Some of these things you're scared to sell, like AVAX, but there are other trades where when it goes vertical, and especially since you were like way up on this at 240, down at 60, and then it gave you the chance to do the trade again, right? I say, fingers crossed, take the money at 309, and if it's just going to go, then rebuy it on a retest of the support point. So I know that's a big coin that everyone was looking at. We would definitely want to answer your questions, right? I know I see somebody looking and asking for Aave. Forrest, you think we got time to pull that up?
Yeah, we can do Aave.
Okay.
You want to pull it up, or you want me to?
Yeah, actually, take a shot. Take a shot at Aave if you can.
Yeah, so Aave's obviously a blue chip DeFi cryptocurrency. I'm going to remove drawings here. I'm just going to draw a quick trend line, right? Aave is on its trend line, but Aave, if I was trading, and I am, and I actually was looking at Aave earlier today as a great candidate for this, trading derivatives so speaking of decentralized derivatives, speaking of DYDX, speaking of perpetual protocol, being able to trade derivatives on cryptocurrencies like Aave can yield very, very high returns. So right now, looks like a pretty solid time to go long on Aave. Now, of course, if Bitcoin just completely crashes, maybe we go down to 40K, Aave could suffer in the short term, right? Maybe we dip below. But look at Aave on the support at $320, not only on our longer term kind of horizontal support line, but also on our longer term trend line, right? Our longer term trend line. This is very, very solid support for Aave. Aave is a very, very important piece of the Ethereum DeFi infrastructure, right? It's biggest lending and borrowing protocol on Ethereum, and a lot of smart money owns Aave, right? Now, Aave has been recently a fantastic, right, range trading opportunity. Just bouncing up and down. Look at all this volatility, all of this ranging where, yes, it crashed lower, bounced back up and retest, but it's moving and ranging between $200 and $500. All sorts of incredible leverage trading opportunities in this area. So as we speak, probably tonight, I'll personally probably be looking for some sort of long opportunity on Aave on some sort of leverage. It just looks, this setup just looks too good to pass up, sticking a stop loss down here or a liquidation point down there. And this, we're just riding this from maybe $320 up to maybe $420. Looks very, very tempting.
All right. So let me do one other chart. I saw somebody asking for Ren protocol. Okay. Now, Ren is got like a bittersweet taste. We love this coin, okay, for say 2020. It did go up, but it didn't go up as much as other DeFi protocols did. All right. Now, one of the reasons why I jumped on this Polkadot narrative is that Ren looks to be breaking out. So it went to $1.60, collapsed, went to 30 cents, okay, made this huge base down here, right? So you can see this yellow square bending back and forth. And Ren looks like every time it wicks below 65 cents, which was the top of the old range, right? Somebody's down there buying it. And one of the big value propositions, as I understood it about Ren, is that it was a shuttle bus between, say, Polkadot and Ethereum. It was all a part of the interoperability connectivity trade. So do I think Polkadot's going to moonshot? Am I going to go back to when we were pounding the table? No, but if Polkadot takes off, getting a trade from 65 cents to 160 may be worth a shot on the long side, particularly since you're listening to this live stream, as they're hitting the market, right? That's, assuming it's not Rectember, that's when you actually want to be doing any type of buying that you do, even if it's in small amounts. So not investment advice. Don't want you to get caught up in a vortex, but as Forrest said, you want to pick your spots, pick your coins, and keep a really, really sharp eye out on it. Now, somebody's asking for any swap. I don't have that right now, but Stay tuned to Token Metrics to find out what we think of AirSwap. You definitely don't want to miss that. That's coming up for our customers. And I saw somebody looking at XYO Network. That also showed up in one of our indices. I'm not sure if I have data for that right this second. Let me see if I have a chart. That showed up in one of our indices, and I'm really interested in that coin because it showed up in our indices. It's down 10% today. Let me see if I can pull up a chart. All right, folks, here it comes. All right, so let's take a look at this. So this is just what's available from KuCoin. I'm going to draw a fib retracement level. Now, every time I see these trades where it goes way up and then it makes these like triangular formations, what I like to look for, all right, is like a capitulation trade where it goes from, say, the 50% retracement and then makes a drop to, say, the 62% retracement. In other words, when is a good time to catch the falling knife? Well, generally never. But if you're going to be patient and look for the dip in XYO, it may be at the 62% retracement right at 0.033 cents. So we definitely want to answer your questions, and we definitely want to keep you tuned in, particularly when it comes to coins that our AI is flagging. All right, folks, I think I'm ready to call it. Forrest, how you doing out there, man?
Doing well, thanks. I think that concludes our stream. Thank you guys for joining us. Always remember to tune back in every Monday, right? 4 p.m. Eastern time.
All right, and folks, one more time on the way out, like and subscribe us. Support Token Metrics so we can support you. Thanks for tuning in today. This is Bill Noble with Token Metrics TV. We will see you next Monday.